to our International Education Spotlight podcast, where we explore outstanding global learning opportunities for students and families. Today, I am delighted to be joined by Stuart from Shrewsbury School in the United Kingdom, one of the UK's most respected boarding schools. We'll be talking about Shrewsbury's summer and short-term immersion programs, the unique experiences they offer students from around the world, and how these programs help young people grow academically, culturally, and personally. Stuart will also share stories and feedback from students and parents about the impact of these programs on the lives of students. Stuart, thank you very much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited to be able to share all of that with you and the viewers of this podcast.
Awesome. Now, Stuart, what makes the summer and short-term immersion programs at Shrewsbury School unique compared with other international summer programs?
Well, I would say, first of all, it's because they're at Shrewsbury School. That's one of the great historic public schools of England. We were founded in 1552, and therefore we're about to celebrate our 475th anniversary. We've been around for quite a long time, though I think we've evolved, as we often say, given we are the home of Charles Darwin. We're located in the heart of England, close to Liverpool, Manchester, Birmingham, all cities I'm sure you've heard of. We're in the beautiful historic county of Shropshire, birthplace of Darwin, home of the Industrial Revolution, and actually the town responsible for the rebirth of the modern Olympics, which you are no doubt are very interested in this year. Our famous alumni, probably too many to mention, but Sir Martin Rees, former Astronomer Royal, Sir Michael Palin, travel writer, broadcaster, and member of Monty Python, the comedy troupe from a few years back, and of course Charles Darwin, who was at the school from the years 1818 to 1825. We've got a wonderful statue of Charles Darwin, the young explorer on the voyage of the Beagle, right outside our main building, who inspires us every day. And really, it's in honor of his spirit, his life, his scientific method, his legacy, and modern day applications of all of that, that we've put together our summer school program. It's the third year of our summer school. We have 4 courses on offer this year. Now, this is really, I think, unique. They've been developed by our academic leads, and they will be delivered exclusively by them and Shrewsbury School teachers. We don't outsource. We want the Shrewsbury imprint on everything we do. The standard has to be what we do all year for our boarding pupils, 800 or so pupils. The standard will be at the same level as during term time. We're very international in outlook as a school, and about 20% of our boarders each year come from around the world, including from the US. So with that in mind, my number one priority as head of summer school is to ensure that your children are well looked after. During the summer school programs or in immersion at our prep school Packwood, which is just up the road, your sons and daughters have to be looked at to the highest possible standard and will be looked after by our own experienced and expert house tutor teams. These are the same teams that work all year round looking after the pupils I've just mentioned. If I go back to the courses themselves, they're all unique in that they are bespoke creations, as mentioned. They're designed to be what we at Shrewsbury like to say is serious fun. They've got to be serious. They've got to be learning things, active learning in the classroom with complementary trips locally in the beautiful Shropshire countryside I've mentioned, and further afield such as to Oxford and London for greater inspiration and cultural capital. Classes will have pre and post learning ahead of those trips. They'll be enriching, they'll be stretching, they'll be inspirational for future study and even careers. When I sat down and thought about these courses that we wanted to offer around the world, the brief to my heads of department was, what would you love to teach to young people? What do you think as a teacher would inspire the next generation of thinkers and doers in STEM subjects? What would you need to deliver to excite them about their learning for a lifetime? What would you like to have done at that age? And they've come up with programs which I think are fit for purpose, will be serious fun for your children.
From your perspective as a school leader, what are the biggest benefits students gain from participating in these programs?
I'd like to answer that question by digging a little deeper into the courses themselves. So 3 of the courses, which we've delivered previously over the last couple of years, are for 12 to 15-year-olds. We've got Darwin Bioscience, not surprisingly, the original course, really looking at the biology of Charles Darwin and his legacy and up to modern day. Darwin Geoscience, which is geography related and geology related, and Darwin Maths Evolution, which looks at how maths underpins everything, including the realm of bioscience and geoscience. They've all been carefully designed to inspire and stretch those young people with an interest in observing the world around them, interpreting what they observe, and then applying the knowledge and the skill set that we hope to develop with them to meet the challenges ahead in the world, in their lives, into the future, to create a better world. And that might include AI, earth and environmental science, space exploration, the things that will excite scientists moving forward on behalf of humanity. For slightly younger STEM enthusiasts, we brought on stream this year a slightly less specialist taster course, which has 5 exciting modules. It's called Darwin Discovery. So in addition to a bioscience component, a geoscience component, and a mass evolution component, our head of design and our head of computing have also added a component. So for 9 to 12-year-olds, slightly younger children, that is an opportunity to get a real, more rounded and exciting overview of STEM subjects. And what are they going to gain? Well, they're going to broaden then and build their knowledge over the program. They're going to do lots and lots of teamwork. They're going to be working in a way that's collaborative with other young people who they probably don't know to start with, and they will develop those skills which will set them in good stead for future studies and indeed into the world of academia and university study. All this great methodology will be carefully modelled by our experienced teachers and Shrewsbury student helpers, some of our best scientists, some of our best young people who've had positions of responsibility within the school will be supporting us, assisting in the classroom. By visiting local venues, but also going down to London and to Oxford, they will raise their academic sites higher. We'll be visiting Imperial College in London, with whom we have a relationship during the course of the year, and we'll be going to Christ Church in Oxford, which is a beautiful college, 500 years old this year, even older than Shrewsbury, and home of Harry Potter if you're like the movies, the Great Hall. So broadly speaking, spending 2 weeks here with us over the summer gives your sons and daughters a wonderful opportunity to get serious about science, but to have a lot of fun. We're not going to bring them over here just to put their heads in a book permanently and have them quietly working away in a classroom. The classroom will be vibrant, dynamic, interactive, and what we do in the classroom is deliberately meant to integrate into what we then do outside and in the field, whether that's on the Shropshire Hills or elsewhere, as I've mentioned. But aside from the academics, we really want them to have the opportunity to experience what it's like to be at a British premium boarding school. So they won't just be enjoying the academics, but boarding life in general. They'll get in a sense of the broader offer, what our students would be doing when they're not in the classroom, the activities they'd be doing. Some of those will be new to them culturally. They might do some art that's related. They might do some dance. They might do some sports, some that they know already and familiar with and happy to do a bit of, but also testing themselves in new sports. We have a sport called fives, which is a bit like Spanish pelota, which is traditional in this country, where they might have an experience of rowing, they might have an experience of cricket, similar but very different to baseball. So they'll get an experience of the range of activity that our own pupils would have the opportunity to experience over the course of a year, and that's all for fun and enjoyment. And then back in the boarding house in the evenings, it will be relaxed and informal, but nevertheless structured such that they are always busy developing friendships, enjoying their evenings, feeling it's a home from home, the best level of care, the things we do normally. They'll do everything that our boarders do in a typical school day, a typical school week over the term. The only thing they won't do is homework. We don't want them doing 2 hours homework in the evening, but we will send them back with some links and some thoughts about further development if they're inspired to do so.
Well, this is great. Can you share a recent story or example of a student whose experience in the program had a meaningful impact on their personal and academic development?
Yes, it's a pleasure. We certainly take feedback from students and participants in our summer school very seriously, and we have collated all of that. And pupils who have been to the summer programme previously over the last couple of years have reported that they were first and foremost proud of having had the opportunity to be at the School of Charles Darwin. They did get a real sense of it, as we hoped, and they did feel part of the Shrewsbury story, the Darwin story. And by Shrewsbury, I mean they got a sense of place, the cultural capital, his work, how they can learn from how he developed his scientific method for their own purposes going forward. So we certainly felt that that mission had been accomplished. They did feel that they'd been looked after brilliantly. We got great feedback, both in terms of the classroom, how they were looked after. So, small class sizes, individualized learning, very caring teachers, the pastoral staff similarly, making that home from home environment, which is so important when children are traveling around the world to join us. So they did feel happy and that they'd fully enjoyed everything the school has to offer. They got a sense of what Shrewsbury School is. That was pretty much unanimous. The bioscience course in particular enjoyed the practical nature of the laboratory work. It was very hands-on and doing things in a fun way. They enjoyed learning how Charles Darwin might have operated, seeing his birthplace, hearing about how he did his experiments. They enjoyed going into the local countryside, discovering fossils. They enjoyed the visit complimentary to the Natural History Museum in Oxford and Natural History Museum also in London, very different museums, and to Imperial. They described all of this collectively as being memorable and inspirational, and I'll share later with you some of the most precise feedback about the potential lasting impact of that. As a teacher, I always feel that the work we do with younger pupils, in this case 9 to 15-year-olds, is going in, it is there. And, but it might be hard for a 9, 10, 11, 12-year-old to articulate, that will impact me when I'm 17, 18, making choices at senior studies and thinking about university entry. But I would not be surprised. I could be wrong, but I hope I'm not wrong. I would not be surprised if a number of these children did now start thinking, as we've encouraged them to when we were in Oxford or London, to consider the UK as a university destination for them if they're inspired to study their STEM subjects, having learnt more about that at Shrewsbury School. So time will tell, but I would not be surprised if that happens. Just going on to the geoscience course, the pupil feedback was, again, they appreciated the fact, as we hope, that they were following in the footsteps of Darwin, going into the mountains of Snowdonia in Wales, which is just a few miles to the west of us, to do practical field work. They were proud of the way that they were able to develop their fieldcraft, and they produced, and were aware that they produced some really high quality field notebooks. The classroom was taken outdoors for them to learn whilst observing the environment, interpreting the landscape as we hope they would. And it wasn't just mountains, it was also coastal environments and river environments. So they really got an experience of some of the best field trips that we offer our own children, and they appreciated that practical learning. And in maths, they enjoyed a lot of fun competitions using number. Our head of maths has designed the course, and they got a feeling of this, that maths underpins everything in the modern world around us, not least AI and space travel. So you can't escape maths even if you want to, but children, when they appreciate that, get enthused for the longer term. So overall, all courses were valued for having been taught as relevant and fun, enriching and stretching. And our teachers, experienced as they are, as I say, it's our leader teachers, our best teachers, are able to really quickly gauge the level of the pupils, the young people they're working with, to get the right amount of challenge. We don't want to over-challenge them right from day one. Certainly don't want them to come and join us and then feel, well, we knew that anyway. We need to get it right so that pupils feel they've achieved and developed and are inspired. Actually, a number of the pupils, without prompting, did say that it's been serious fun, so that was quite nice. They detected that's what we try to be about, and that they would recommend it to others, as they have done.
Right, obviously. And that gets us into our next question. So what kind of feedback have you received from parents after their children completed the program? Are there any reactions that stood out to you?
Yeah, thank you. And again, we did take parent reaction and, suggestions for improvement. That's the nature of our school generally, as well as the summer school. We always want to improve. But I'd like to share with you maybe a couple of snippets of feedback, and I think it might be relevant to people listening and watching this. So an agent that we work with attended all the courses we offered last year and saw what we were doing in terms of care, saw what we were doing in terms of the wider offer, experiencing boarding life, and her feedback was very generous. She said the camp was more than just well organised. It was thoughtfully designed, academically enriching and genuinely caring. From the engaging course content to the attentive and principled pastoral care, every detail reflected team's professionalism, dedication and deep understanding of what young learners need in a cross-cultural environment. Students return not only with improved skills and knowledge, but also with greater independence, curiosity and confidence, which speaks volumes about the nurturing yet high-standard environment created. That was a lovely piece of feedback, and I've got to say, as head of summer school, I did in particular notice how the young people developed greater independence, curiosity and confidence over 2 weeks, with attention to detail. And so go back to the beginning, using our own staff. We're not outsourcing this. These are professionals who I trust and know who've got the experience and the expertise. We got some feedback from a parent of 2 girls who attended last year's geoscience course on their return home. Our girls came home full of great stories of their experiences of the last 2 weeks. You've set the bar really high for us as parents to entertain and occupy them for the remainder of the summer. They made many new friends and learnt a great deal about geoscience. My wife and I appreciate all the planning and hard work that went into this, and we are grateful that so many people gave of their time and energy. So there were a couple of glowing tributes to my colleagues, and it all pulled together to be a great 2-week experience. We had lots of other very positive comments on surveys as well.
So now, how does this experience change the way students see the world, and what difference do you hope that it will make in the lives of the students that come to this program after they leave?
Well, as I say, education's a long process. They're learning things at what we would call primary school. They learn them further in secondary school, and we say little acorns lead to great things, big oak trees. So education is ongoing, and the lasting benefit of coming to us for these courses, I think, will work its way through in education over time. But we do think that those comments we just read out to you suggest that we can be confident that that will happen, that those who attend summer school, inspired by Charles Darwin, will see how he observed so closely and so attentively the world around him, and how that methodology, which permeates all our courses, can lead to exciting discoveries about the world and indeed our place in the world as individuals and as human beings. So I do think that will come through. I'm not saying every single child who attends will go on to do STEM subjects at university, but I do think a good number now will consider that option and hopefully go on and do that. So I think the experience we're offering does promote scientific method and curiosity, really important in young people. And the importance of asking questions as well as seeking answers. You can't get good answers if you don't ask good questions in the first place. And that underpins our methods at the school and what we'll be telling them and reminding them. We'll be as interested in the questions they ask as much as the answers they then share and offer. I think this will stand them in great stead for future studies, both at school in the next year or two of their studies, formal studies, and hopefully how they approach the world around them. You can be scientifically thinking and observing the world around you at all times, and it will hopefully go on to university and beyond. We think the trips that we integrate into the course will bring it to life as well. As I say, it's not about heading a book in the classroom all the time. It's fully integrated into meaningful, carefully chosen and selected trips, details of which are in the brochures, but London obviously being one. We go to London, because it complements the courses, but at the same time, some of the young people will have never been to London. It'd be a shame to come all this way and not spend a little bit of time at least seeing the headline landmarks. And when we go to Oxford again, it will be educational, but also we'll have some fun and get some inspiration. So I do hope and expect, actually, that a number of the young people who come on our courses will end up considering and applying to UK universities, which would be wonderful. We've got some of the best universities in the world, as you have. So widening horizons, giving options there, I think is a really good educational mission on our part. What else can I say? More broadly, I think really importantly, summer schools done well, such as ours, show how interconnected the world is. Spending us is valuable to meet other people from other backgrounds, from other parts of the world, to experience life at one of the country's most historic and I'd like to think best. It's for others to judge that, but a top boarding school for sure, to make connections, to gain cultural capital, having the highest standards of care, which I've come back to more than once in this talk. I think that's crucial. It means that pupils, young people, boys and girls coming here will be looked after, will be happy, will make the most of the opportunity. It's a great opportunity. They've got to make the most of it, but it's our job to ensure that happens. They've got to be happy. So the highest standards of care underpins everything. I do genuinely seek to have a 2-week experience with my colleagues. It's on all of us, such that they don't just have a good 2 weeks, but it does have a lasting impact. They should return home positive, excited about the future, and considering more options. The world will have opened up to them through what we do. I'm pretty confident that's what we can achieve at any point with individuals or groups of potential parents who are interested in this.
Why will a student from the United States benefit from attending a summer program in the United Kingdom?
Well, I think first and foremost, for all the reasons I've mentioned, if they are inquisitive, curious, intellectually, in the subjects we mentioned, please don't come here to learn Spanish, because I'm a Spanish teacher, you might see from the background, but we're not offering Spanish and history, which we're passionate about. We do all sorts at Shrewsbury School. But if you're interested in STEM subjects, given we are the home of Darwin and we're inspired by him every day, then there's probably few places in the world, actually, that are better. So for young people from the US, as elsewhere in the world, you'd be welcome. You'd have an opportunity to enjoy and benefit from this safe environment, this welcoming environment, this international environment that we do have. We have US pupils in the school currently, and that's typical. I teach a couple of them. They would have serious fun. They would contribute. It's a two-way street, that. We want young people to come and contribute from all over the world. That's important. We want to be as diverse as possible in the sense of our makeup, and that's good for everybody. The world is interconnected, whether we like it or not. That's a fact. And they'll get more of a sense of that through travel, hopefully to Shrewsbury School. We will look after them at the same level of experience, with the same level of diligence as we do in term time. That's a non-negotiable from my point of view as head of summer school. We've got to do everything to the same standard. US young people, like young people from other countries, have the opportunity to gain cultural capital. If they've been to the UK before, they will undoubtedly do different things this time, see different things. But if it's the first time that they're in the UK, I am mindful of the fact that, yes, we're related to an academic course, but we're also developing cultural capital in the broader sense. They will make new friends, and hopefully those friendships will be strong. We would encourage that. They'll make connections. They'll consider perhaps more than, or begin to consider, the possibility of studying here at university in one of our great universities up and down the country. They'd enjoy the academics. They'd enjoy boarding life. They get a taste of some of our weird and wonderful co-curricular programs, the cricket, as I say, fives, rowing, other things. They'll get every encouragement to participate in those and may develop new enthusiasms, which again might last a lifetime. That's what we try to do with our young people when they arrive at the school. You know, you might arrive here liking soccer, liking football, as we call it here, and you may continue doing that to a high level and get great coaching. But you will hopefully leave here developing new enthusiasm, discovering new talents. And, in 2 weeks, we can start that process as well. So, I think that's a very worthwhile thing to do. None of us are fixed. This is what I do. This is what I like. This is my aptitude. This is my talent, whether it's academics or as a person growing in terms of hobbies and pastimes that might last a lifetime for pleasure, or even developing them professionally, which some of our students do during the course of the year, whether that's in the arts or in sport. We want to challenge them, but suitably so. Above all, we want them to be enriched and to have a lot of fun in 2 weeks whilst they're with us.
Stuart, thank you again for sharing your insights and for giving us a glimpse into the experience students can have at Shrewsbury School. For families interested in learning more about summer and immersion opportunities, we encourage you to explore and to see how it could be a transformative experience for your child. Thank you once more.
Thank you for the opportunity, and thank you for listening.
Okay, have a wonderful day.